It's a summer fest that is the best.
It's a lacrosse tradition and one that News 19 is proud to be a part of.
Riverfest.
It's going to be a great weekend.
Taking time to have a little fun.
Where else would you rather be on the 4th of July weekend?
We've got lots of activities for kids, young and old.
Events like these are what make our community such a great place to live and work.
Thanks for spending your 4th of July with lacrosse's own News 19 at Riverfest.
Down by the riverside.
The Friday night lights are ready to burn brightly once again.
When the prep football season approached, News 19 had the highlights.
Ben Behan returns to lead a loaded backfield.
Interviews.
Seniors lead you in the season. Seniors will take you where you got to go.
And preview all in one place.
The culture has changed in Onalaska.
News 19's countdown to kickoff.
Speed isn't a luxury, it's a necessity.
100% commitment, 100% effort.
For lacrosse's prep football coverage,
It's not going to be given to you. You got to work for it.
find it on News 19.
Snow, sleet, freezing rain, and thunder with this complex winter weather system.
When severe weather hits home,
Road conditions are going to be impacted from this. You will want to give yourself plenty of time to get to your destinations.
there's one team of meteorologists you can always count on. News 19's Storm Tracker Weather Team.
Winter storm warnings out not only locally but also across north central Wisconsin.
When weather is at its worst, we are at our best. News 19's Storm Tracker Weather Team.
Black Lightning is the latest comic book character the CW has brought to life. I'm Lindsay with the La Crosse Eau Claire CW, and we're at River City Hobbies in downtown La Crosse to talk to resident comic book man Jim about the new CW show and more.
Black Lightning was a savior who kept our streets and our schools safe. He was hope personified.
For those that don't know much about Black Lightning, could you give us a little history on the story?
Jefferson Pierce grew up in the slums of Metropolis and later returned to become a high school principal at his old school. As a youth, he suppressed his powers, and as an adult, he became Black Lightning and fought corruption and crime in the inner city. He is the father of 2 daughters who are called Thunder and Lightning.
And now here's an extended preview of Black Lightning on the CW.
It's been 9 years since I've used my powers. And this city is getting more and more dangerous every moment.
Your powers were given to you for a reason.
I can't save the world, Gabby.
But you can save your piece of it. These are my streets. Black Lightning is dead.
It's time that the people know Black Lightning is back.
Thought you were done being a hero.
Brother needs all the exercise he can get.
From WXOW, coming to you live in HD, this is La Crosse's own News 19 10 p.m. report.
Tonight at 10, a rich tradition in the Coulee region takes place a little earlier than usual this year, but the show surely did not disappoint. Good evening, everyone. I'm Caroline Hecker. Thanks for joining us. The La Crosse Skyrockers are a staple of ringing in the new year, but a forecast of dangerously low temperatures prompted a change of plans. News 19's Sam Schultz explains the reason behind that change and how it affected their setup this afternoon.
Changes on the fly for the La Crosse Skyrockers as dangerously low temperatures throw a wrench in the plan.
Warmth first.
You know, we want people to see what we do. And, we don't need people getting hurt coming out in the cold to watch the fireworks either. So it's good for us, it's good for the community.
The Skyrockers moved their big display to 6 p.m. to avoid the cold, but changes still need to be made because of heavy frost in the ground.
We can't drive through the frost. We can't pack snow because we don't have any. We don't have any way to stabilize our guns, and that's a lot of what it has to do with also.
That means fewer mortars and heavy shells and a little bit of reprogramming on the electronic boards controlling ignition.
You can kind of tell because they're all kind of the same type.
To change the show is more challenging for us to communicate with each other than it is to physically change things.
Hey, let's you and me have a conversation about something at first.
It comes down to a little bit of a last-minute scramble, but that just goes to show the strength and the age of our club and our ability to do that.
Though it's bitterly cold and can be a little bit difficult for them, it's all worth it.
Knowing that everything kind of went off somewhat as planned, for the most part, all of your hard work was enjoyed by people, and all the cold that you suffered throughout the day had value, just makes you feel good.
All for the love of a good show. In La Crosse, Sam Schiltz, News 19.
And in case you missed it, at 6, News 19 will be rebroadcasting the Skyrocker show tonight here on News 19 at midnight. The dangerous cold has now turned deadly. A man was found dead on Milwaukee's north side today. The victim's body found inside a vehicle behind a home. The medical examiner's office suspects the death is cold weather related. And that weather not going anywhere anytime soon. Chief Meteorologist Dan Breeden joins us now. Hi, Dan.
Yeah, Caroline, I don't see much of a break in this pattern until perhaps on day 7 from now. So a week of sub-zero type overnight lows and, of course, much below normal readings. We have clear skies at this time thanks to an area of high pressure. This is just a lobe of Arctic air that's very dry, so there isn't too much in the way of cloud cover. Temperature right now at 8 degrees below zero here in La Crosse. It's 11 below in Arcadia and Prairie du Chien. A wind chill advisory is in effect until noon tomorrow for wind chills down to around 35 degrees below zero. Most of the viewing area there, but to the southwest, a wind chill warning. That's for Fillmore and Winnebago County, and wind chills there could be as low as 40 below. I'll have more details on all of that coming up in just a bit. Caroline?
Thanks, Dan. Well, if you're feeling brave and want to venture out into the cold, tonight is the final night for the Rotary Lights display. This year marked 23 years the tradition has taken over Riverside Park. A warming shelter, s'mores, and ice skating, just a few of the newer features this year. Rotary Lights will be open until 1 a.m. and if you're looking to get one last look at the display before teardown begins tomorrow. The Toma Fire Department says dangerously cold temperatures made a busy Saturday more challenging than usual. The department responded to 4 calls yesterday, one of which was a house fire. The cold weather can often wreak havoc on firefighters' equipment, making fighting the fire more difficult. No one was home at the time of the house fire, which left 5 family members without a home. The department says 24 firefighters spent 3 hours on scene. 1 firefighter did suffer minor injuries. The Winona Fire Department also battling a house fire this morning on Mankato Avenue. The department says 2 adults and 2 children were inside the home when the fire broke out. However, all were able to make it out safely. As with that Toma Fire Department, cold weather created problems this morning with equipment while battling the blaze. However, firefighters were able to extinguish the fire. Crews remained on scene for much of this afternoon. The cause of that fire, though, remains under investigation. Minnesota farmers fear they could lose millions of dollars if the United States leaves the North American Free Trade Agreement. President Trump has threatened to withdraw from the trade deal. He's been renegotiating for better terms for nearly 5 months. Sales of pork products from Minnesota to Mexico and Canada totaled nearly $200 million last year. Corn and soybeans account for nearly a third of Minnesota's trade with Mexico and Canada. A sheriff's deputy in a suburb of Denver, Colorado is dead after responding to an early morning call. 4 other deputies wounded after a gunman opened fire in an apartment complex. 2 civilians also sustained non-life-threatening injuries while deputies responded to what they believed was a domestic violence call early this morning. The 4 wounded deputies are in stable condition. The Douglas County Sheriff says more than 100 rounds were fired by the suspect before being killed by police. One witness describes the deadly situation.
Yeah, some people say it was like firecrackers. It was clearly definite. It was like an exchange of gunfire, and pop pop, and then pop 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 pop, and then return fire. And it was just you knew right away it was gunfire.
The suspect, who was fatally shot at the scene, has not been positively identified, but according to the sheriff, law enforcement was familiar with him. The deputy who was killed was 29-year-old Zachary Parrish. He leaves behind a wife and 2 children. We're just a few hours away from saying goodbye to 2017 and hello to 2018. In New York, officials are taking extra precautions to protect the people who will ring in the new year in Times Square. Snipers and bomb-sniffing dogs will be a part of New Year's Eve security in Times Square as the ball drops. Parking garages and hotels also getting more attention, too, after recent vehicle attacks around the world and the mass shooting in Las Vegas. Security, though, not the only big concern tonight. If the forecast continues, this could be the 3rd coldest New Year's Eve ball drop in Times Square since the event started in 1907.
Every time I seem to turn around, there's another police officer, so I feel real good about it.
I prefer just to be in the comfort of my home instead of standing out in the cold.
Mayor Bill de Blasio says there are no credible or specific threats against New York City as of this evening. The woman who helped launch the hashtag #MeToo movement will be launching Times Square's New Year's Eve ball drop. Tarana Burke is a social activist who, along with actress Alyssa Milano, got the hashtag #MeToo movement going last October. It encourages sexual harassment victims to come forward. In a tweet, Burke announced that she will be pressing the button to drop the ball in New York. She also said, quote, "With the new year comes new momentum to fuel this work, and we won't stop anytime soon." New Year's Eve in Las Vegas is known as America's Party, and this year the city is stepping up safety precautions with the help of the federal government. More than 300 National Guard and more than 1,500 police officers will work to keep Las Vegas safe. 800 ballards, or vertical posts, have been installed on the Strip, with plans to add more than 7,000 more in 2018. That's in addition to 4,200 barricades in place tonight. Well, still to come on News 19, we take a look back at those we lost this past year. Plus, winning the lottery could be a great way to ring in 2018. After no winners last night, the Powerball up to $440 million. That story comes